Donald Trump is on his way back from a trip to the United Kingdom where he was met with protests, while back here at home, his administration is pursuing a crackdown on free speech. And completely unrelated, I just want to say before we get started here that I've always admired and respected Mr. Trump. I've always believed he was, a visionary, innovator, a great president, an even better golfer. And if you've ever seen me say anything negative about him, that's just AI. I have been told, there's some clips of me on the internet making jokes about him from a few years back. Those are obviously deep fakes. I mean, come on, does that look like me? That's clearly Teen Sheldon. Anyway, for more on this, it's time for a closer look. Trump has been to the UK many times with varying degrees of success. In his first term, he wore a Winston Churchill-style hat that made him look like he was starring in a knockoff production of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang down at the old folks' home. And then there was the time he committed a royal faux pas by wandering in front of the Queen while inspecting the troops. And for anyone complaining about that, you try making the Queen disappear. Have a little respect for Donald Copperfield. Although this is weird, the Queen was only gone for a few seconds, but she would later swear it had been days. It was so dark and I was so hungry. That was Trump's first term, but the trips in his second term have also been a mixed bag. When he visited the Middle East, those governments tripped over themselves to please him.
President Trump touching down in Saudi Arabia, escorted by military jets.
I don't think I've ever seen the beast with a horse escort.
Saudi Arabia had a McDonald's mobile truck. Look at that thing.
That's what I call hospitality.
I'm shocked he came back to America. They combined his two favorite things, McDonald's and trucks. If they had put a rack on the back for golf clubs, he would definitely still be there. I mean, it's very hard, you guys, to compete with that. Because, the closest thing we have to a McDonald's mobile truck in the States is, of course, the Arby's windowless white van. The point is, the UK had to up the ante, and they pulled out all the stops. There was a military flyover, a lavish state dinner, a ride in a gilded carriage, a parade of horses, including one who gave Trump the ultimate honor of taking a dump right in front of him. Don't laugh, though, don't laugh. Don't laugh. That is actually the highest honor you can get from a royal horse, which is why they gave Trump a golden take-home box to carry his gift in. I have something inside here that was given to me by a horse, big horse, strong horse. He came up to me, tears pouring from his eyes down onto his giant nostrils, and he said to me, Mr. Trump, sir? And that's today's unnecessary fart noise.
Unnecessary fart noise.
And you know what? Can we get a little one just for good measure? Okay, so we gotta try to have fun somehow, all right? Now, Trump was obviously impressed by all the pomp and circumstance, but he was impressed most of all by the venue.
King Charles is pumping up the royal pomp and circumstance this week for President Trump's second state visit to the UK. Instead of Buckingham Palace, the president will chopper into Windsor Palace and get a carriage procession.
This one's at Windsor. They've never used Windsor Castle for this before. They used Buckingham Palace, and I don't want to say one's better than the other, but they say Windsor Castle is the ultimate.
Who is the they that calls Windsor Castle the ultimate? Because it certainly doesn't sound like how a posh British person talks. I mean, maybe someone from a Guy Ritchie movie. All right, we're gonna rob Windsor Castle because it's the ultimate, isn't it? Ultimate castle, mate. So Trump was excited about the five-star accommodations, and surely nothing could ruin the experience.
Protesters here overnight projecting a photo of President Trump alongside convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein on the walls of Windsor.
Oh, not Windsor Castle! Windsor Castle is the ultimate! I think it's safe to say Trump was clearly feeling good about the special U.S.-UK relationship.
The word special does not begin to do it justice. We're joined by history and fate, and by love and language. The language born on these isles and perfected in the pages of Shakespeare and Dickens and Tolkien, and Lewis, Orwell, and Kipling. Incredible people. unbelievable people like we have rarely seen before, probably won't see again.
Shakespeare, Dickens, Orwell, all the people who tried to warn us. We won't see them again. Can I just say how happy I would have been had a heckler yelled out, "Name your favorite Kipling." I'd be so shocked if Trump had an answer. It's got to be Jungle Book. We love Mowgli. We love Baloo. We love the bare necessities. We love them because they're simple. They help us forget about our worries and our strife. Nobody likes the strife. The point is, in spite of the protests and awkward moments, everybody seemed to get along, which is notable because not long ago it looked like things might be getting a little rocky between the US and the UK, particularly over the issue of free speech.
Vice President J.D. Vance getting into a dispute with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer yesterday over free speech during Starmer's visit to D.C.
There have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British. Of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and by extension, American citizens.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time.
We've had free speech for a very long time, and it will last for a very long time, specifically on the side of Windsor Castle, which, as you know, is the ultimate. But look, say what you will about the Trump administration, the issue of free speech is clearly very important to them.
In America, we believe in free speech, and we're bringing it back starting today. I stopped government censorship, and we brought back free speech in America. I will restore free speech. I will restore free speech. I banned government censorship from your voices and brought back free speech in America. We have free speech. We didn't have free speech. We do have it now, actually. And I have stopped all government censorship and brought back free speech in America. It's back.
And look, I think all of us can agree free speech is a good thing. No, not now, not today. Because in order for a democracy to thrive, I said, I don't want to do it today. Stop waving your arms around. I don't want to do it. I'm sorry, I'm being told there's a follow-up montage, and historically, when we play a follow-up montage, it undercuts everything in the first montage. And, you know, I just really like the first montage about free speech to be, like, true today, you know? You promise the second montage isn't going to undercut the first montage? Okay.
We are continuing to follow the breaking news tonight. ABC pulling Jimmy Kimmel's show off the air after facing pressure from Donald Trump's FCC.
The president declared victory basically tonight, writing on Truth Social that this is, quote, great news for America. The ratings challenge Jimmy Kimmel's show is canceled.
Are you happy now with your second montage? I feel like a horse just took a dump at my feet. Trump promised to end government censorship and bring back free speech, and he's doing the opposite. And it has experts worried that we're rapidly devolving into a repressive autocracy in the style of Russia or Hungary, much faster than anyone could have predicted.
We're also getting new reports today. The White House plans to target a variety of left-leaning groups and nonprofits in the coming weeks, all part of a larger and more dangerous effort underway. And it follows a playbook we have seen successfully run in recent years by authoritarian strongmen in places like Hungary and Turkey and Russia. In Hungary, for example, the country's oldest newspaper was suddenly shuttered after being bought by a businessman with links to far-right President Viktor Orban.
And I've said we've gone from zero to Hungary faster than anybody ever could imagine.
And of course, zero to Hungary is also how Trump felt when he saw the McDonald's truck. You guys, here's an important thing to understand. And if it's the thing you take away tonight, I want that to be the case. Anytime the country of Hungary is in the news, it's a comedy writer's dream. They're so happy because they can use it to mean Hungary in the sense of both the geographical location and also wanting to eat food. The only thing they love more about it is a news story about Turkey. And if Hungary and Turkey are ever in the same story, they run into my office like Scrooge on Christmas morning. In fact, the Trump administration's crackdown on free speech has been so shocking and so chilling that prominent voices from across society, from Hollywood to former presidents, have spoken out and promised to investigate.
Now we've got the Trump administration literally targeting individuals. You saw it with Stephen Colbert. Now you're seeing it with Kimmel. Anybody that's criticizing this administration, they're using the power of government to intimidate companies to fire people.
As a country, we have to, in this moment, know that our democracy is on the line, and we've got to push back and ensure that we are doing the right thing in protecting this country, the freedom of speech, and our institutions and our government.
Celebrities like Ben Stiller and Gene Smart were quick to defend Kimmel. Comedian Wanda Sykes, who is scheduled to appear as Kimmel's guest Wednesday, accused the Trump administration of ending free speech.
Former President Barack Obama is weighing in, blaming the Trump administration for threatening media companies unless they muzzle or fire reporters and commentators it doesn't like, and urging media companies to stand up to Trump instead of capitulating.
This country is rapidly moving toward an authoritarian form of society. In authoritarian countries like Russia and others, Saudi Arabia, you do not have a media that is allowed to be critical of the government.
They're right, and I love it when Bernie and Obama agree because they do with such different styles. Obama's like, this is a violation of our founding principles. And Bernie's like, millionaires and billionaires are destroying democracy. Back in my day, presidents weren't censoring late-night comedy shows. They were going on late-night comedy shows. I remember when Nixon was on Laugh-In. He said, sock it to me. I was 45 years old. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll be getting lunch at the Arby's van. And may I just say, it is a privilege and an honor to call Jimmy Kimmel my friend, in the same way that it's a privilege and honor to do this show every night. I wake up every day, I count my blessings that I live in a country that at least purports to value freedom of speech, and we're gonna keep doing our show the way we've always done it, with enthusiasm and integrity, and I'm... We're gonna have a conversation after the show. I'm very disappointed in you today. This is a pivotal. This is a pivotal and pivotable. That's how big it is. This is a pivotal. Oh my God. This is a big moment in our democracy, and we must all stand up for the principles of free expression. There's a reason free speech is in the very First Amendment. It stands above all others. You might even say it's
the ultimate.
This has been a closer look.